آل محمد كان الوجود لأجلهم تكريما. مشكاة نور الله آل محمد كان الوجود لأجلهم تكريما. لو لم يكن بجبين آدم نورهم ما قيل للملك اسجدوا تعظيما. صلى الإله على النبي وآله صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. وآنست في الليل برقا أنارا أحال اسوداد الظلام نهارا وأبهج قلبي سرورا وبشرا وفاح شذا المسك منه وقارا. تهلل وجه الرضا مذراه وريث الإمامة يغدو مسارا. فهذا الجواد وباب المراد سراج على الكون شع منارا. بسبع تحدى مكايد حقد يصب هداه عليهم بحار الصلوات. We congratulate the Imam of our time, صاحب العصر والزمان, عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف, on this auspicious occasion, the birth of his grandfather, Al-Imam Muhammad ibn Ali al-Jawad. Muhammad, the son of Imam Ali al-Rida, his grandfather as Imam Musa al-Kadhim. Musa al-Kadhim is the son of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. Ja'far al-Sadiq is the son of Imam Muhammad al-Baqir. Muhammad al-Baqir, the son of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, the son of Imam al-Hussein, the son of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, لذكره الصلوات. We ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala by this holy night, not only because it is the night of the nights of the month of Rajab, which is a holy month, but mainly because it's the night or getting closer to the night of the birth of Al-Imam Muhammad al-Jawad salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. And we all know the importance of this month. And Allah made it important not just because Allah chose these days to be important. Allah made the Rajab important because it's related to these names, related to these individuals, starting with Al-Imam Al-Hadi and Al-Imam Al-Baqir, which we celebrated their birth on the 2nd and the 3rd of Rajab. And then now the birth of Al-Imam Al-Jawad, and coming up to the birth of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. This month is known to be the month of Amir al-Mu'mineen. This month shouldn't pass like this. Shahr Ramadan is not only the only holy month that we wait for, we fast, and it's more like a celebration these days, and it is a celebration. It's the days of Allah where a mu'min celebrate the fact that my trip now is quicker to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. But that is not the only chance. Rajab is a holy month. In the narration, a man by the name Salim came to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. And the Imam asked him, did you fast any day of this month? Salim responded, no, I didn't. So the Imam said to him, you should have fasted at least one day. Because the reward of fasting one day of Rajab, the only one who knows the rewards of fasting one day in Rajab is Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. No one else knows. لا يعلم مبلغه إلا الله تبارك وتعالى. The reward of fasting 1 month in Rajab. We should not let these days pass without taking advantage of it. Otherwise, what else do we have in this life? What is my value? Is it only the work that I do? Is it only like the looks that I have? Is it my car? I do not accept. I have more respect to myself than accepting these things to be my value. So, because of the relation of these days to the Imams, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala made it holy. And one of the Imams that we celebrate his birth anniversary is Al-Imam Muhammadul Jawad. This holy Imam that Al-Imam Al-Rida alayhi salam said about him that there is no newborn that was born that has more blessings than him upon the Shia. When Ahlul Bayt speaks about blessings, like we are living in these blessings. As a person who's a Shi'i, I'm living in these blessings. I don't feel it. And the only time I will feel it, it's on the day of judgment. We feel it in this dunya if we think about it. If you think about the blessings that we receive from Ahlul Bayt salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim, you really feel it if you compare yourself to others. You compare your identity to others. Before speaking about this holy Imam, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, there is a question that we ask. Why is it important for me to know about every Imam, to learn about them, to connect to them? Is it only enough for me to know Amirul Mu'mineen and that's it? No, it's not. It's a chain. Believing in Ahlul Bayt salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim is a chain. Once one ring of this chain is missing, it doesn't have the same use anymore. It's useless. It doesn't have the same needs anymore. The same, for example, usages anymore. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. If I believe in all of the Imams and I know them properly, but I don't know Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, all of that knowledge has no value. If I know all the Imams except for Rasulullah or except for Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam, then I know nothing. It is very important for me to connect to all of them and to get to know them. That's why we celebrate and we commemorate all the occasions that are related to them. Before, and to answer this question, I will give you this introduction. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, يَمْحُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيُثْبِتُ وَعِنْدَهُ أُمُّ الْكِتَابِ. This verse speaks about the decree of Allah. What Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala has planned for us and the plan of this world. Allah speaks about, in this verse, about 2 types of decree and 2 types of tablets. We have the lawh. You heard the expression in Arabic, al-lawh al-mahfuz. What do we call it in English, Sayyidina? Lawh al-mahfuz. Is there a proper translation for it? Because I do not know a proper translation for it. But by defining these 2 tablets that Allah speaks about in this verse, it will be clarified. Allah speaks in this verse about 2 tablets that contains the decree of Allah. The first tablet where Allah says, يَمْحُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيُثْبِتُ. In this tablet, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala puts the things and the decree that can be changed. Allah erases it, or Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala confirms it. And the second tablet, وَعِنْدَهُ أُمُّ الْكِتَابِ. And he's got al-lawh al-mahfuz. So 3 types of decree that I will mention that will lead us to the importance of strengthening our relationships, our relationship to every Imam. The first kind of decree that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has is the decree that He put in al-lawh al-mahfuz that doesn't get changed. There is no one that is able to change it. And this knowledge, only Him, only Allah knows it. He doesn't even give it to the prophets. He doesn't even give it to the Imams, like ilm al-sa'a, when the time will come, when the day of judgment will come. While Ahlul Bayt, they have ilm ma kana wa ma yakun ila inqida'i khalq. They know everything that will happen until then. But when ilm al-sa'a, when it is going to happen, that Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala keeps it to himself. The second kind of decree is the decree that cannot be changed. We said the first type cannot be changed, but only Allah knows it. The second type of decree cannot be changed. Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala puts it in a lawh al-mahfuz, but He informs some of His prophets and the Imams. And sometimes informing them is to prove their prophethood. It's like when He tells a prophet to tell his people that this punishment will come after 3 days. And the only way to prove his honesty, that he's honest and he is a prophet of Allah and a messenger of Allah, for this to happen. So it has to happen. But what I wanted to speak about more is the third kind. Lawh al-mahwi wal-ithbat. The tablet that Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala puts in it, the decree that can be changed. When it comes, for example, to our health. When it comes to our rizq. When it comes to our life. You've all heard about certain deeds that makes your life shorter. We've all heard about certain actions and certain sins that makes your life shorter. And we've heard about deeds that makes your life longer. For example, when you connect with your relatives, when you seek istighfar, when you pay charity, this makes your life longer. When you cut ties with relatives, for example, like the famous story of Shu'aib al-Aqarqufi and the man from Morocco who came to Hajj and he visited his auntie but his brother didn't. So Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala added 20 years to his age. So there are certain actions. Some people, they ask a question and they bring a misconception, If there are hadith that say, you pay charity, this will be added to your life. So some people say about Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala that Allah changed His mind and changed His plan. Because Allah didn't know that I was going to pay charity. So He had put, my life would be 30 years, for example, and then out of nowhere I chose to pay a charity. So Allah changed His mind and added to my age. And this is a valid question. A misconception that it's not new. It's been brought before about this. But when we speak about this tablet, lawh al-mahwi wal-ithbat, that the decree in it can be changed, here Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, in His knowledge, Allah knows. Allah knows that I'm going to live 50 years, but He puts in the tablet 30 years. Out of what? Out of encouragement. Allah wants to encourage me that if you do this, I will add to your rizq. Because when a person dies, when I die, it means I have no more rizq in this dunya. My rizq is done. I was supposed to get this much money, but now I used it all. Now it's the time for me to die. This in lawh al-mahwi wal-ithbat. When do I need the Imam when it comes to this? We all have problems in our life. And unfortunately, greed is one of the keys that takes me to guidance. It's a lower level of worship, but Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala accepts it. There's 3 types of worship. There is ibadatul tujjar, the worship of the tradesmen, those who deal with Allah as a tradie, That I only do this to get something in return, and I'm waiting for something in return. But the best kind of worship is to worship Allah out of gratitude, to think about His graces and to pray out of gratitude, to fast out of gratitude. Look how a person acts when he loves somebody. When he loves a girl, for example. They would do anything. If their mother says, for example, do this, don't tell me what to do. But then a strange girl that comes out of nowhere, she does that. Everything is done. Subhanallah. So, and like it's unconditional. Not even out of gratitude. I don't know out of what. But for Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala that He gave us everything, the best kind of worship is out of gratitude. But for us to feel the grace of the presence of the Imam, we should think about it like that sometimes. Like what do we benefit from the presence of the Imam? I will tell you a story about Lawh al-Mahw al-Ithbat. You know, like since we are living in the time of Sahib al-Asr wa zaman, Ajjallah ta'ala farajahu sharif, for his remembrance, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Since we are living in his time, and nowadays people say, look at the Shia and what's happening to them. Look at what's happening in Syria. This is fitnatul Sham that is mentioned in the narration. Now the narration speaks about the signs of the appearance of Sahib al-Asr wa zaman. Ajjallah ta'ala farajahu sharif. They mention what? They mention a lot of bloodshed that will not stop until his reappearance. They mention the bloodshed of the Shia, you know, and people get scared and they start to predict the Imam is coming soon. This is fitnat al-Sham. Well, the only thing about these events that is in a Lawh al-Mahfuz that cannot be changed is the appearance of Sahib al-Asr wa zaman. While the bloodshed and everything else, the destruction, this can't be changed. Who changes it? I'll tell you the story about Prophet Dawood. Prophet Dawood and Malik al-Maut, everyone knows this story, where he used to give lessons, and one of the young men, he's a young man, he used to come, sit, listen, learn, and say nothing. And he was the favorite student of Prophet Dawood, and he was about 20 years old. So, out of nowhere, while Prophet Dawood was giving a lesson, the angel of death came. And when he came, he started to stare at that young guy. Prophet Dawood knew that he was going to take his soul. So he asked him, Ya Malak al-Maut, what is your job here? What are you coming here to do? He said, Allah told me to take the soul of this guy after 7 days. So Prophet Dawood felt sorry for that young man. And he called that young man, he said to him, what's your situation? How's your life doing with you? Are you married? He said, no, I'm not. Then Prophet Dawood told him, go to that person, he's the head of the tribe in Bani Israel. Tell him that Prophet Dawood tells you to marry me your daughter. Give me your daughter to get married. So he went to him, he said, Prophet Dawood says that. The man accepted. Prophet Dawood paid for everything. He gave him a house. He said to him, you go with your wife and after 7 days you come to me. The man went, lived with his wife for 7 days, came back to Prophet Dawood. For the whole day, Prophet Dawood was waiting for the angel of death. Where is he to take the soul of this guy? Malik al-Maut didn't show up. He said to him, go back to your wife, come back after 8 days. He went back, he came back after 8 days. Malik al-Maut, the angel of death, didn't show up. After a third 8 days, he said to him, come back to me. He came back, the angel of death came. And Prophet Dawood said to him, I don't know why Prophet Dawood was so in a hurry for that guy to die. But he said to him, Ya Malak al-Maut, you told me that you were going to take the soul of this guy after 7 days. What happened? 8 days and 8 days and 8 days have passed and he didn't come. Then Malik al-Maut told Prophet Dawood, Allah had mercy upon him for your mercy for him. For that feeling that you have, your heart softened for him, so Allah prolonged his life and added to his life 20 more years. The presence of the Hujjah of Allah on this earth. I need to deserve that. The Imam Sahib al-Asr wa zaman, that's why we recite in the dua, وَهَبْ لَنَا رَأْفَتَهُ وَرَحْمَتَهُ. Oh Allah, grant us His mercy. Grant us His kindness. For me to deserve that, does the Imam do that for a person that doesn't know him? No. Do I deserve it? Yes, the Imam is generous. He gives it to everyone. He gives this mercy to whoever he wants. Because Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala made him his representative. Allah says that in the Quran. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن رَسُولٍ إِلَّا لِيُطَاعَ. That every messenger that we send him to be obeyed. So his presence on earth as a representative of Allah. Whatever he says is what Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says. So we need the presence of the Ma'soom to change this. The destruction that is happening. The bloodshed that is happening. And we know that what is happening now is a process of sifting. لَتُغَرْبَلُنَّ وَتُغَرْبَلُنَّ وَتُغَرْبَلُنَّ حَتَّى يَبْقَى الْأَنْقَى فَالْأَنْقَى. You will be sieved and sieved and sieved until the purest shall stay. The only thing that is in this equation at the moment, it's not our money, it's not our souls, it's our ma'rifah. This is what decides my status in the permanent life. This is what I'm supposed to be interested about improving my status in the hereafter. And the way to do it is to connect to the Imam, salawatullah. And every single one of them. Who knows about Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam? If someone now of the Muslimin comes to you and asks you, what is your evidence on the Imam of Imam al-Jawad? Do I have an answer? Do I have an answer? Maybe I know a bit about Imam Hussein because I attend Muharram. I know a bit about Imam Ali because I like to wear his sword as a necklace. But do I really know the evidence of his Imam? Because without yaqeen, there is no Iman. The hadith says, Al-Imanu imadul Islam, wal-yaqinu imadul Iman. The pillar of Islam is faith, believing. And the pillar of believing is certainty, yaqeen. Yaqeen can only be issued if I have certainty, if I have evidence on what I believe in. And look at nowadays, like one of the things that makes me proud about this identity of the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen is that a person who's innocent is being killed just because of the wilayah of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Because you're a person of a principle. In a world that has no principles, all these principles are twisted. But just because of your wilayah of Ali ibn Abi Talib. How many videos have you seen recently on social media of Shia just being told off or being told to bark, karramakumullah, just because they are the Shia of Ali ibn Abi Talib? This makes me feel proud because I'm a person of a principle. And when this whole world doesn't care when my blood is being spilled, and I'm not carrying a weapon, just because of this principle, and this world which is wretched, this world is judging me that I am deviated, then that's what we say in Arabic. إذا أتتك مذمتي من ناقص فهي الشهادة لي بأني كامل. If someone who is a bad person and he defames me, then that is what? A shahada that I am perfect. Someone who's a liar and he tells me that I'm a liar, it means I'm a truthful person because he's a liar. He has that negative, morality. You cannot accuse someone of something that is in you. Because a person who's a liar sees everyone as a liar. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So our Imam, the ninth Imam, Al-Imam al-Jawad, he's the ninth Imam. With an evidence that all the Muslimin agrees upon. Sunnah and Shia. And at least we should have one evidence on his Imam, and Allah try not to take a long time, just to speak briefly about this Imam and to get to know him more after Salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Let's get one evidence before speaking about the might of Al-Imam al-Jawad. One evidence. When it comes to our books, we have a lot of evidence. But if you want to answer a question from someone who's trying to make you doubt your own beliefs, you bring something that will convince him. So you bring it from their books. It's not an inferiority complex when we try to bring evidence from their books. It's a way to prove this to them from their own books, which they do not read. And they are discouraged to read. They are discouraged to read their own books, let alone the books of the other sects. So when you go, for example, in Sahih al-Bukhari, and I will bring these pieces of evidence, we put them together. The first part of evidence. In Sahih al-Bukhari, the Prophet ﷺ says, يَكُونُ عَلَيْكُمْ إِثْنَا عَشَرَ أَمِيرًا. After me, there will be 12 Imam, 12 Amir, 12 Prince, 12 leader. In Sahih Muslim, the Prophet says, لا يزال الإسلام عزيزا إلى 12 خليفة. The Islam shall stay strong for 12 successor after me. And Abdullah ibn Abbas, which is a narration in the Sunni books as well, he narrates by the Prophet that the Prophet said that the successors after me are 12 بعدد نقباء بني إسرائيل. The same amount of the apostles of Banu Israel. This hadith, all the Muslimin agrees upon, and the authenticity of it is agreed upon. This is the first part of the puzzle. Secondly, who are these 12 that the Prophet speaks about? And it is important for me to know them. If the Prophet is saying this message cannot be continued, Islam will not be strong until 12 people come after me, then I should be concerned about it. This message is what guarantees my success in the day of judgment. The Prophet says my nation will be divided into 73 groups. Only one of them is successful. And even in the successful one, we're talking about the general title of the successful one, the Shia of Amir al-Mu'mineen, they are divided into 12 groups, and one of them is successful. Look at the misconceptions that are brought nowadays, and the deviations, and the many groups in the same group. Who are these 12? These 12 are supposed to be, in every era, they are supposed to be the most knowledgeable. The people that apply the divine orders upon them more than others. People that are known to be the best in knowledge, the best in moralities, the best in everything. They have the resemblance of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. In the time of Imam al-Jawad, all of the Muslimin agrees that he is the master of his people, of his era. Sayyidu ahli zamanihi. This is the second thing. Third thing. Did Imam al-Jawad, we say like, okay, why are you claiming that Imam al-Jawad is the Imam? Did he claim it about himself? Did he say, I'm the Imam? Did he say, I'm your leader? Yes, he did. Al-Imam al-Jawad, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, as all the Muslimin agrees that he sat in Masjid Rasulullah, in the place of Rasulullah, and he spoke to people as the Imam. Not only that, even miracles appeared on his hands. The Imam showed miracles. The same way prophets needs miracles to prove their prophethood, the Imam's the same. And I will not speak about the miracles of Al-Imam al-Jawad in our books, because this is something that we do not have no doubt about. For those who sometimes feel embarrassed to speak about the miracles of their Imams, they think this is science fiction. In fact, this is probably one of the aims of doing a lot of science fiction movies, to make the people think that this is something that cannot happen. But with common sense, with logical thinking, when you see someone claiming to be the representative of Allah, you want to see divine work. You want to see something that you cannot do. What makes you different than me as a prophet? What makes you different than me? The abilities that Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala gave you. Sheikh al-Majlisi, al-Alam al-Majlisi, rahmatullah alayh, he mentions 51 miracles for Imam al-Jawad. If one of them, let's say one of them actually happened, this is enough to prove his imamah. Because Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala wouldn't support, and this is something that all the Muslimin agrees upon, Allah doesn't support a liar with miracles, because this would be deceiving. Allah would deceive me in believing in a man like Musaylam al-Kadhab. Where was it him that spat in the well? He claimed to be a prophet, and then they told him to spit in the well, because, like the spit of a prophet is a blessing. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam done that when Abdullah ibn Muti' al-Adawi told him, do not go to Karbala and get killed, because we will be humiliated. And before he left, he said to him, can you please bless my well, because it's drained. So Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam drank a bit of water and spat it in the well, so the well started to flow with water. While Musaylam al-Kadhab, the well had a bit of water in it, he spat in it, it drained fully. So Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala doesn't support an individual with a miracle if he's a liar. But Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, if we say that one of these miracles did actually happen, that's enough to prove his imamah. When it comes to his ma'ajiz, and I will try to be brief because it's getting closer to prayer times. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And I will mention this is not only mentioned in Al-Kafi. It's even mentioned in the Sunni books. One of the scholars of the Shafi'iyya, it's a Sunni sect. We know that there are four sects: the Shafi'iyya, the Malikiyya, the Hanbaliyya, and the Hanafiyya. One of the scholars of Shafi'iyya, he has a book, it's called As-Sirat As-Sawai Fi Manaqib Al-Nabi. He speaks about the virtues of the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. His name is a Sheikh Mahmoud Al-Shaykhani Al-Qadiri Al-Shafi'i. He says about Al-Imam Al-Jawad, كانت تطوى له الأرض, that the earth would be folded for him, and he would pray in the same day as he mentions in Mecca and Medina and Sham, Syria and Iraq. تطوى له الأرض. You know how the Prophet salawatullahi wasalam alayhi, in less than a quarter than a night, he went less than ثلثاء الليل, he went from من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى, and then he went to the heavens, and then he came back. حتى كان قاب قوسين أو أدنى. The Prophet salawatullahi wasalam. And Ahlul Bayt are part of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa, the Imams. So whatever the Prophet does, they have the same ability to do, because their presence is his presence. So one of the things that is mentioned in the Sunni books, and it's mentioned in our books as well, Ibn al-Sabbagh al-Maliki, from a different sect of the Sunnis. Ibn al-Sabbagh al-Maliki in his book Al-Fusul al-Muhimma, and another Sunni book, Shiblanji al-Shafi'i in his book Nur al-Absar. He mentions this story, that a man by the name Ali ibn Khalid, he was a Zaydi. Those who believe in the Imam of Zayd, the son of Ali, the son of Imam Hussein. Because after Imam Hussein, his son Zainul Abidin had a son by the name of Zayd, who made a revolution against those who killed Imam Hussein. Some people believed in his imamah. So, was it Zayd ibn Ali or Ahsan? So Ali ibn Khalid was a Zaydi. He said, I saw a group of people dragging a prisoner. So I asked about him, what's wrong with him? They said, this person claimed to be a prophet. He said, I wanted to see what's his story. I went to him to realize that he's a person of common sense. And that is surprising. There is no one that claims to be a prophet while he's a liar who's sane. And look, nowadays we've seen as well on social media, for those who listen to the news from Lebanon, like Nabi Nashat and whatever, those who claim to be a prophet, you really realize that they have a mental issue. Something's wrong with them. So he said, when I realized that this person has common sense and he's like actual intellectual person, so I asked him, what's wrong with you? Why are these people saying that you are claiming to be a prophet? He said, well, I was praying in the spot where they put the head of Imam Hussein in Syria. And then out of nowhere, a young man came to me and he said to me, come with me. We went out of nowhere. In 2 seconds, we were in a masjid. He said to me, do you recognize this masjid? He said, yes, this is the masjid of Al-Kufa. He said, so we prayed rak'atayn, 2 rak'at. When we finished, out of nowhere, I am in Masjid al-Sahla. We prayed 2 rak'at. Then when we finished, we went to Mecca. Then we went to Medina, the masjid of the Prophet. We prayed few rak'at. And then we went back to the same spot. And then he left me. The next year, same thing happened. In the same time, that young man came, took me with him. We done that same tour. And then when we came back, he was about to leave. I said, by the one who gave you this ability, tell me who you are. He said, أنا محمد بن علي بن موسى بن جعفر ابن محمد بن علي بن الحسين ابن علي بن أبي طالب. He said, this happened to me, but I made one mistake. I told this story in front of some of the friends, which they delivered to the news to the governor of Banu al-Abbas in our area by the name of Az-Zayyat, Muhammad ibn Abd al-Malik al-Zayyat. He said when he heard about this, he said to his guards to take me to prison. And they brought me to prison. He said, okay, let me help you. I feel bad for you. Why don't you take your complaint to Muhammad ibn Abd al-Malik? and tell him your story. Maybe he would believe you. He said, how am I going to do that? He said, write it on a piece of paper and I'll take it to him. He said, he wrote it down and I took it to Muhammad ibn Abdul Malik, and then he returned the same paper. He wrote on the back of the paper, tell the person who took you in one night from Sham to Iraq, from Iraq to Medina, from Medina to Mecca, and from Mecca to back to Asham to take you out from prison. He said, and he got upset. He didn't know what to do, so I left him. He said, I went on the next morning to check what's happening with him, to check upon him, and I saw the warden, the guards, a lot of people, they gathered around the prison. What's happening? He said, the guy that we brought here last night disappeared. The shackles are empty. We don't know if he was swallowed by the earth or he was taken to the heavens. Ali ibn Khalid says, who was a Zaydi, after that day, he became a Shia. He became one of the Imamiyya. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Imam Muhammad al-Jawad, Imam al-Rida said that he said about him that this newborn was the one of لم يلد في المسلمين أعظم بركة منه. No one has more blessings than him upon the Shia. One of the reasons the ulama mentions, at the age 7 years old. How old is that boy? The one who's picking his nose. He's playing with his eye. How old are you? 10. So, of course, Imam al-Jawad was younger than him. Imagine an 8-year-old boy enters here, has a turban on his head, and goes on the minbar and gives you a lecture. How would you feel about it? Of course, he's not going to be, I don't want to say. Anyway, imagine a young boy like that. You know, after Imam al-Rida, a lot of misconceptions were brought up. People stopped believing in Imam al-Rida. There was the Waqifiyin, those who stopped at Imam Rida alayhi salam. You know, so the Shia, their belief started to be less and less, to a point they wanted to prove if Imam al-Jawad was the Imam, no matter what the miracles that he done. So they went with questions. Everyone wrote down questions to take it to Imam. Imam al-Jawad at the age of 7, you know, even the hadith says Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, when Imam al-Jawad was 2 years old, Imam al-Jawad was answering the questions of the people. Because imama has nothing to do with age. When Allah orders you and says that this is the successor of the Prophet, he's not an ordinary person. By shape, yes, he's a human being. He's not an ordinary person. So definitely Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, because Allah is merciful, Allah created us, and Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala wants to do good to us, so He put these individuals. So it doesn't matter if he's 1 year old or 50 years old. Do you know one of the reasons Imam al-Jawad was one of the most blessed Imams who brought a lot of blessings upon the Shia? Because through him people believed in the Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman. Imam Rida says that you will be tested after me with fetuses in their mother's womb. Speaking about the Imam. Imam al-Hujjah was 5 years old when he disappeared, and he had representatives. He had middlemen between him and the people. For the people to be prepared to that time, not only 8-year-old coming here to give a lecture, a 5-year-old showing up out of nowhere to pray upon the body of his father, Al-Imam al-Hasan al-Askari. So for the people to be prepared to that kind of situation, Imam al-Jawad had to be there. So he went after Imam Rida alayhi salam was martyred. At the age of 7, people came from every direction with questions. One of them was Ishaq. He came and he had 10 questions for the Imam. He said in himself, he said between, like talking to himself, he said, if this person answers my questions, which will prove he's the Imam, I will tell him, I will ask him, because my wife is pregnant and I left her, she's about to give birth. I want to tell him to ask Allah to give me a boy who's going to be healthy. He says, as I approached the Imam, before I asked my questions, the Imam smiled at him and he said, your wife is going to give birth to a son, name him Ahmad. And there comes Ahmad ibn Ishaq. And then the man became a Shia as well. Followed the Imam al-Jawad salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. So this is the individual that we are his guests on this night. Babul Murad. A lady goes to him with a blind son. She comes back, her son is able to see. A man went, he wanted to get married. He didn't have tawfiq with getting married. Al-Imam al-Jawad, in the same day in Mecca, he didn't leave Mecca until he was married. This is by the blessings of Al-Imam al-Jawad salawatullahi wa salam. So the more I have ma'rif, the more I have connection with these individuals, the more tawfiq I deserve, the more blessed my life will become. And his famous name is Babul Murad. And I brought a lot of quotes from a lot of Sunni books, what they said about Al-Imam al-Jawad. You know, they do not believe in these Imams and they say such things about him. What about us? Do I know about these or not? We ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala بحق باب المراد أن يعجل, to hasten the appearance of صاحب العصر والزمان, and to grant us the tawfiq to celebrate his birth anniversary next year under the standard of صاحب العصر والزمان. إنه سميع مجيب. ها خوتها ها عمها التهاني الطوس نبعثها والورود. الجواد ابن الرضا هالليلة مولود. الفرح يا ناس، الفرح يا ناس واضح ما إلى حدود. وها خوتها ها عمها وفرحان الشيعة بميلاده، فرحان الشيعة بميلاده، فرحان الشيعة، فرحان الشيعة بميلاده، فرحان الشيعة. يا ألف مبروك يا الزهرة الزكية، اجانا الكوكب التاسع هدية نزوره او ناخذ بصحن التحية. وها خوتها ها عمها واللي ينخى ينطيه مراده، واللي ينخى ينطيه مراده، واللي ينخى ينطيه مراده. هالليلة الفرح سير على الناس أو بالمولد تناثر طيب وإحساس، نشم عطر البخور أو ريحة الياس. وها خوتها ها عمها وجفوف الشيعة نحنيها، وجفوف الشيعة وجفوف الشيعة نحنيها. بعد أبو ذية وأسألكم الدعاء. محلها 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 الجواد بنورك الظلمة، محلها محلها ومثل غيث الأرض يروي، محلها السعادة اليوم يا شيعة، محلها ونهني صاحبي طلع البهية صلوات. مختصرة بس سيدنا علي آية، علي آية وعلي غاية وعلي راية وعلي ثاية وعلي سورة وعلي نور، علي همة وعلي ذمة وعلي عالي وعلي أول علي تالي، علي الليث المجرب علي شتال مرحب، علي بيد المذهب أخو الهادي وصية مثال العبقرية، يا حماي الحمية يا ابو النفس الأبية. علي الكرار قال البابا قل عنا علي الكرار، قل عنا علي الكرار قال البابا قل عنا علي الكرار قال البابا قل. ايه يا علي إيه يا علي إيه يا علي 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 من ضربته يهتز جدار الكون والنظر شخصه صابت الرغبة. إذا عيسى بن مريم ولدته العذرة، إذا عيسى بن مريم ولدته العذرة، علي شقت بطنه جابت الكعبة علي الكرار قال البابا قل عنا صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد إلهنا بالحسين الوجيه وجده وأبي وأمي وأخي والتسعة المعصومين من ذريته وبنيه بحق إمامنا الجواد. عجل فرج صاحب العصر والزمان، اكشف همه واقض حوائجه، واجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه ومقوية سلطانه. اللهم كن لوليك صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ولتعجيل الفرج واستجابة الدعاء وقبول الأعمال وقضاء الحوائج ولشفاء المرضى ولأرواح أموات المؤمنين والمؤمنات من مات على الإيمان، الشهداء والعلماء، نهدي إلى الجميع ثواب ما قرأنا وثواب المباركة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.